on this computer. Okay. All right. So this webinar is now. Oh, give me a second here. Obviously, I was looking at data earlier today. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and get the slideshow started. And thank you, panelists, and thank you, participants that are here today on your Tuesday. Thank you for giving up your Tuesday on February 8th. As today is, we want to kick off our Black History Month, and we're really proud and privileged to be able to present to you our Black Student Achievement Plan and highlight 3 of our schools that are implementing best instructional practices to support our African-American children at our schools. Okay, so with that said, let's move on. At this time, I do want to bring our fearless leader, our fighter of equity, and that is our beloved Superintendent Francis Baez, for a little warm welcome from Local District Central, home of the champions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valderas. So good to be here with all of our leaders, our parents, and community. My name is Francis Baez, Superintendent in Local District Central, the home of the champions. Behind me, you have the Olympic rings because there is the Winter Olympics that's taking place during this time. And it is with that champion mentality that we enter our leadership work and our support for student learning and our support for our schools. We have themes in Local District Central that really emphasize equity, that emphasize innovation, that emphasize transformation. And Mr. Valderas is transforming the school community with the team to ensure that our students reach their goals and reach graduation. I'm so proud of him and the leadership of this team that are bringing forward the Black Student Achievement Plan to ensure that our Black students have the tools and feel a sense of belonging and feel connected to our school so that they can achieve. Mr. Valderas, thank you for this important town hall. We'll continue to have these town halls to ensure that our parents have information, our community has information. And if you're not here, that you see the recording. I know that this work is supported by our board members. So while they may not be here, that is because there's a board meeting today. And so they are making sure that there's policy in place, just like this one. There was policy that was adopted in order for the Black Student Achievement Plan to come to life. And so if they're not here today, please know that they are out advocating for the school communities and their constituents. So with that said, I wish you a successful town hall, Mr. Valderas. Thank you for all that you do to lead the achievement of up to 11,000 students in this community of schools. I'm so very proud of the team and all that the team does to support this effort. Back to you, Mr. Valderas.
Thank you, Superintendent Baez. And with that, we will continue to move forward. At this time, our board members, as you are aware, as you heard from Superintendent Baez, they are currently in a board meeting at this time, but we represent 18 of our schools are represented by Board District 1, Dr. George McKenna, and 2 of our schools are represented by Board District 5, and that is Jackie Goldberg. At this time, I want to be able to recognize that it's a team effort, and today's presentation and every day and the work that we do on a daily basis to support our schools cannot be done alone. So again, I recognize Mr. James Lee, who is our K-12 Instructional Admin Coordinator. And of course, who we will hear today is Miss Ana Guzman, who is our BSAP Administrator and supporting all our BSAP schools. And then we have our LRE Specialist, Adrian Arias, followed that by Angie Gamboa, our Operations Coordinator, Raywin Munheg, Program Specialist, Erica Lopez, our Content Expert, Vilma Monzon, Parent Educator Coach, Nathan Tran, who supports our schools with IT, Miguel Garcia, our Mental Health Consultant, and of course, in the main office, our Parent Education Support Assistant, and that is Kimberly Murillo. At this time, I want to be able to pass on the baton to a dear friend of mine who's done extensive work to support our BSAP schools. And again, we're going to hear there's a huge investment to make sure that our students and our Black students are achieving, not just through student voice and student learning, but also looking at what those achievement indicators. And later on, we'll introduce to you 3 fine principles to have a conversation of what they are doing differently to support our Black children within our MAVS communities. At this time, I'll pass the baton to Ana Guzman, BSAP Administrator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Valderas, for those kind words. Thank you, Superintendent Baez, for the warm welcome. And thank you to all of our parents that are here with us and learning about our Black Student Achievement Plan and all that is being done at these fabulous, marvelous, fantastic schools, and how we're uplifting the support and the achievement of our Black students at our schools, local district central. So thank you so much. And like Mr. Valderas and Superintendent Baez said a few minutes ago, we have lots of investment in this particular Black Student Achievement Plan. And the board is actually having a discussion around the Black Student Achievement Plan. So thank you so much. As we move to the next slide, you will see the agenda in front of you. And just take about 24 seconds to read through the agenda. We're going to do an overview of our Black Student Achievement Plan. What are the schools that are under our local district central for the Black Student Achievement Plan, community partnerships, site support, parent advisory at the local district level, the evaluation that's going to take place, a 3-year evaluation to see the growth of the Black Student Achievement Plan, and the 16 indicators, what is driving that particular investment. And also we're going to give some question and answer time for any of our participants and parents that are here that would like to ask further questions. As we move on to our next, we're going to view a short video, and the link is at the top of the letters. And this is hot off the press. This is a brand new video that was just released a couple of days ago. And if we can have the sound, share the sound. And this is highlighting a particular school that is a BSAP school.
Kicked off this year, and it's an effort to ensure access and equity for our Black students.
Historically, achievement of our African-American students has been lower compared to their counterparts. And so by providing the support, we're hoping to close those gaps and to set them on a path of success that they may not have had formerly.
There was a need, a dire need, for our African-American scholars to have instruction that was meaningful, impactful, and affirming to them, and to have resources, additional resources at school sites to meet additional needs that our scholars brought to the educational process.
And so it allows us to really look at the data and identify the instructional needs of our Black students, and then to organize and develop interventions and instructional supports to accelerate the academic success of our Black students. We have lots of resources that have been available thanks to the funding provided to our Black Student Achievement Plan. So we have different supports, like myself, the Administrative Coordinator of Instruction, that support our 53 Group 1 schools. Each of our 53 Group 1 BSAP schools also get the support of a psychiatric social worker, a restorative justice teacher, an attendance counselor, and a school climate advocate. And so the goal there is really to provide our Black students with academic as well as social and emotional supports, and really to improve the overall climate of the school so that our Black students feel welcome and feel a part of the school community.
We really want to support our Black students in every single way possible, whether that's educationally, behaviorally. We want to reduce those referral rates. We want to encourage attendance. And my role as a school climate advocate is to contribute to the whole school climate so that contributing to these things as a student population just becomes second nature. So wanting to come to school on time, wanting to succeed in school, having the tools to succeed in school should become a part of this overarching school climate so that all of our students, but especially our Black students, can achieve.
Our kids, a lot of times, have difficulty with conflict resolution. A lot of times they come from homes that teach them the way to resolve conflict is through anger, through your fists. So we need to teach them a different way. We need to teach them that the way you resolve conflict is through talking and through problem solving and resolving problems in a peaceful way. having a restorative justice teacher on campus to facilitate that and help not only teach the students, but help teach the teachers how to resolve problems in a more civil way is a big plus and is a big need.
One of the key things with implementing VSAPs and attendance is looking at everything that we do and being intentional about it, including our classroom environments and being intentional about what we put up on the walls and creating a space of joy as well as learning for our African American students.
The ultimate goal of the Black Student Achievement Plan is increase and accelerated academic achievement of our Black students. We'll look specifically at data from our summative assessments like the Smarter Balanced Assessment. We're looking at graduation rates. We're looking at attendance rates. We have 16 success indicators that we look at to really determine the success of our Black Student Achievement Plan.
Here at Venice, we have noticed a higher interest among our Black students in attending school, in going to college. Just recently, our Black Student Union president was accepted into over 30 universities. So we're really excited about her progress as well as her peers. They're getting more excited about going to college, about attending classes and learning more about historically Black colleges and universities.
So Venice has a very strong Black Student Union led by two incredible students who are just blowing us away with all their accomplishments. And we see this based on their college acceptances. And we are so proud of all of our students in the Black Student Union and how they embrace their vision as well as share their vision with the rest of the Venice High School staff and population and student body.
VSU is an advocate program for every Black student that goes here. So whether they attend the meetings or not, we're still advocating for them.
I just want to add that yes, it is a safe space for the Black students on campus, but it is available to everyone. And as far as the culture and the things that we do to get people involved, we do really encourage everybody to come together like with our meetings and the activities and the fundraisers that we do have to make sure everyone feels included and feels safe at Venice High School.
For me as a principal, it tells me someone cares. There's an entity out there that understands these needs, and there's a plan in place to address these needs.
So BSAP has met that need, is filling the need, and wonderful things are happening for and to our students and our school communities as a result of the Black Student Achievement Program.
Thank you for the video. As my colleagues mentioned, there's a lot of wonderful things happening to our students and our community, and many activities are taking place. And if we can go to the next slide, you will see that things, what was in for 2021 for our Black students: low academic performance, limited classroom and school engagement, and you can feel the date to 2021. And as we move forward to the next slide, you will see what's different, what's happening now after 21-22. Targeted funding specifically for African-American students. There was a board resolution that was passed with lots and lots of money, $36 million that was proposed for our students. The HEAT group in Local District West, and for our BSAP schools, the board approved $59 million, a total of $132.2 million for our Black Student Achievement Plan. But this also comes with accountabilities, right? There's also reports that need to be submitted to the board, and seeing how these 16 indicators are moving the needle to ensure that our Black students are achieving. If we move to the next slide, you will see this is the data that started the conversation of our Black student plan. At the left-hand side, you see that some of the indicators such as graduation rates. You will also see the local district as a district wide in the blue, local district central is in the yellow, local district south and local district west. These are the percentages for our current Black student achievement status per those indicators that you see there. Take about 15 minutes just to look at the data and make some comparisons. Something that stands out is the special ed referral rates. At the district wide is 26%, but local district west is 56% of our African-American students have been referred to special ed. So some of this data is the why we have a Black student achievement plan. At the next slide, you will see that we have the indicators that are uplifted in this particular slide that coincide with our data. The 16 indicators are divided into 3 categories: school experience and support, academic achievement, and engagement, not only by student engagement, but also parental engagement. So we are making sure that our parents are invited to at the schools and be participating in activities at the schools. School experience support, you have students have an advocate, an increase on mental and social health services, an increase of a favorable school experience. We also have access to culturally responsive curriculum, and we'll go into a little bit more detail into that. Decrease of discipline referrals, arrest, suspension, because we know we have to use a positive approach to ensure that our students are engaged. And we also want to look at the elimination of policies and practices that contribute to the school and prison pipeline. At the academic, we want to make sure that our students are increasing at their graduation rates. The attendance is increasing in the proficient bands. And we want to make sure that our students are attending school every day. We want to also ensure that our Black students are having access to the advanced placement and honors courses at the high school level. We want to increase the math and ELA, English proficiency, increased number of students and the on track on the A through G requirements. We want to make sure that our number of students are at the benchmark in the elementary with their literacy skills, and we want to decrease the first time special ed referrals. We want to make sure that our students are taking advantage of those extracurricular activities. We want to have high parent participation at the schools, but also at the local district and at school-wide meetings. And we want to increase the presence of partnerships in our communities and support and partnerships with our school. As you will see in the next slide, you will see how was some of the schools selected. And you will see the group 1 schools were selected by the following criteria: greater than 200 Black students total with at least 1 high need flag or percentage of proficiency in ELA, English or math that is below the district average. And a high need flag is referrals and suspension rates greater than 10% points more Black students disagree with the school experience chronic absenteeism. So those are high need flags for our students. And who are our group 1 schools? We have Manual Arts High School as a group 1 school, Normandy Elementary, and Fauché Learning Center. And what are the 3, the next slide, you will see that we have 3 big buckets that we will be looking at in our group 1 schools. If you click on the previous slide, Mr. Valderas, you will see the 3 big buckets for our group 1 schools. District-wide, we have 53 schools, and at local district central, we have 3. And we look at curriculum, community partnerships, school climate, and wellness. Under the curriculum and instruction, we train the teachers of culturally responsive pedagogy, and we provide planning time for our teachers to start looking and planning with a different lens. And school curriculum grants, we also provide that for our Group 1 schools. School partnerships and community partnerships. Schools provide those partnerships of those organizations that are within the community to be invited to their schools to help with our Black students. And the last bucket is the school climate and wellness. As mentioned in the video, every school that is a Group 1 school has a psychiatric social worker, because we know that the emotional and mental health of our students is a priority. At the secondary levels, we do have a counselor that is specific for our BSAP students. And our BSAP students actually have 2 counselors, an academic counselor, in addition to a BSAP counselor that will look at grades, look at classes, and encourage students to have a high graduation rate, but also being on track on the A through G requirements. We also have a school climate advocate at every school. Restorative justice is also at our 3 schools. Thinking about conflict resolution, that is their main task. And we also have the flexible climate grants that were granted to these 3 particular schools to increase the partnerships. And in the next slide, you will see what is it that are, in more detail, what is it that our 3 schools are receiving. They also have the services of an ACI, which is myself. I provide very hands-on support to these particular 3 schools, Manual Arts, Fauché, and Normandy, and we provide training on culturally responsive professional development for our English and math at the school sites. I work very closely with the counselors / PSAs, restorative justice, school climate advocate, and PSWs to see how we can support our Black students at the school site. Teachers receive extra pay to plan those units and be delivered for our students in the classrooms. The schools also have grants that they have access to ensure that students are receiving what they need during their instruction. And they also have partnership money to ensure that they reach out to the communities and build that partnership within the communities. The secondaries, they also have a social studies auxiliary, African American studies, this second semester, and our Fauché middle school, high school, and Manual Arts are participating in this African American studies. And Mr. Principal Porter and Principal Murray will talk a little bit more about that. At the local district central, we also have a parent advisory for BSAP, and all parents are welcome to participate. In the next slide, this is some of the supports that I provide to our 3 schools. I work very closely with all 3 principals, and I support the staff with planning, implementation, and observation, and providing constructive feedback to our teachers and my colleagues to support the Black Student Achievement Plan. In the next slide, you will see that our students, not only do they have an advocate, but we also have a Black student plan where all students are being interviewed with the consent of the parents, and we want to hear their voice. We want to hear how they feel at school, how do they have an advocate, what are their life long-term goals, and if they need extra counseling by our BSAP counselor at the school site regarding A through G, graduation rate, college, FAFSA, any of those items. That is the goal of our counselor at the school site. In the next slide, you will see the community partnerships. The schools are reaching out to partnerships, but also we have a parent advisory, a local district central, headed by Helene Cameron, and she has monthly meetings that support our our work. And now I'm going to turn it over to our panelists. We'll have Manual Arts, Mr. Porter, principal at Manual Arts, that will be not only introducing his staff, BSAP staff and their titles and how do they contribute to the climate at the school. And followed by Mr. Ramos, Normandy Elementary principal. He will also be introducing his staff and talk about how BSAP is working at his school and what are some of the activities that are happening at Normandy. And Fauché, Miss Murray will also be talking to us about all those activities that are happening at 3 different levels, elementary, middle school, and high school. So I will be turning it over to Mr. Porter, Manual Arts principal, so he can tell us some of the wonderful things that are happening at Manual Arts. Mr. Porter.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I just want to begin by introducing my team. We have Mr. Harris, which is our BSAP or our assistant principal over BSAP. We have Mr. Oscar Carter, which is our school climate advocate. Mr. Kerry Pounders, our restorative justice teacher. Ms. Florence Lope, our PSW. And Ms. Davina Pulfis, our BSAP counselor. And there's so many things that BSAP is providing for our school, but just to set the tone of everything is the establishment of culturally relevant curriculum. They're monitoring or progress monitoring the A through G requirements and moving our students closer to graduation. The social mnemonic component, where we have our children, is just as the man spoke in the video, that how they handle conflict is normally with their fists, but now we're being able to talk. And this is all being done because of the BSAP program here. Our climate and control person, Oscar Carter, who's really connected in the community and can foresee things that are going to happen and alerts us, and we're able to bring people in and talk. Again, restorative justice. Mr. Pounders, having meetings with students and family and bridging the gaps between the students and staff that they might have challenges with. I just cannot say enough about the program and the insight that they're able to provide our admin team and the way they're able to help and support our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. And I just want to highlight, Mr. Porter, our Black Student Union. And there's actually a period at Manual Arts where our Black student leadership has some time with a specific teacher, and they plan different activities at the school site to ensure that our students are heard and that they have a voice. So thank you for all those wonderful things that are happening at Manual Arts. And I know there's lots and lots of more things happening in all of the departments. So thank you for that, Mr. Porter. And now we're going to introduce and hand over the mic to Mr. Ramos, principal at Normandy Elementary.
Good afternoon to everybody. I just want to say thank you, Ms. Guzman. And just really quickly, while we're all here, I just want to also say thank you, Ms. Guzman, for all the support that you provide to Normandy Elementary, your suggestions and your guidance. So Ms. Guzman is a huge asset to our school that we, all of us, whenever she comes in, we take her suggestions with an open mind. And a lot of times we're running with what she's suggesting to us because she's able to see sometimes things through a different lens that while the rest of us are here in the trenches, she's able to kind of provide different guidance. And for that, we thank you. But nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with some of the things that are taking place here at Normandy Elementary. But first, let me introduce you to some of our staff members. We have Ms. Anna Torres here. She's our school climate advocate. We have Ms. Tanisha May, which is our restorative justice teacher. We have Ms. LaQuinta Malone. She's our psychiatric social worker. And we have Ms. Ebony Jackson. She's our PSA counselor, more specifically. And just to let you know, every single one of these staff members goes over and beyond to support the needs of our students. They sometimes, if necessary, they do home visits. They basically do whatever it is that's necessary to meet our student needs. But now I'm going to move on, like I stated earlier, to some of the things that are taking place here at Normandy Elementary. More specifically, I'm going to dive into curricula. Right now, we're in the stage of putting together our culturally relevant units for the spring. Now, what those units do is they're bringing social justice and awareness to our students through books and through literature that looks like our students. And why are we doing this? Because when students see themselves in literature, they have more to speak about. When they see themselves through literature, they have more to write about because now they feel connected. They listen more. They're more attentive to the lessons that are being provided to our students, and they're more engaged in the reading that they have in front of them. Why? Because they see themselves through that literature. And through these lessons, we're able to validate our students. We're able to affirm. And like I stated earlier, they feel more connected to our school site. So it goes beyond culture. Of course, we respect their culture. We learn about their culture. And on top of that, we bring awareness to our entire school of where our students have been, where they are, and where they are going. Now, some of the social emotional wellness activities that are taking place at Normandy are, for example, Kindness Week. Students wrote kindness quotes that were posted in some of our bulletins, again, to affirm our students. We had Bully Awareness Week, where our students where they engaged in Spirit Week, and they displayed support via wearing different clothing, via having crazy hair day, crazy socks, but they supported us that way in saying no to bullying. We had a human rights activity where our students wrote on a snowman, and it stated, "I have a right to ... and they just stated what it is that they had a right to. Again, validating our students and what they have a right to. Those snowmen were displayed in one of our bulletin boards in one of our hallways. We had a gratitude activity where students wrote gratitude notes, and they wrote affirmations. And then on top of that, we also have attendance challenges where our PSA monitors our students' attendance, and they look at students' days that they're here consecutively, and then afterwards they get rewarded with multiple, I like to call them, multiple treats for our students to continue to motivate them to be here at the school site. We also had October, we had we called it the Halloween Spooktacular Dance. Our students engage in multiple games, multiple activities, and of course in dance. Again, to motivate them to want to be here. And on top of that, after school, our school climate advocate has, she meets with our students to bridge the gap between our Black students and our Latino students. And she invites them to participate in games. She invites them to participate in team building activities. And if necessary, she tutors our students to support them in the classroom and with instruction. So that's just some of the examples of what Normandy is doing here. So thank you guys very much for having me here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramos. And yes, Mr. Ramos and Mr. Porter, they always VAP. They validate, affirm, build, and bridge our students at their school site. So thank you so much for that and all those wonderful activities that are happening at our BSAP Group 1 schools. And now I would like to introduce and hand over the mic to Ms. Murray, principal at Fauché Learning Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate everyone on all the hard work they're doing on behalf of Black children. To begin, we all know that every system is perfectly designed to get the results that it's getting. And when we look at the data for our Black children, we know that it's a necessity that we have them as a focus because they're not achieving at the rates that we'd like to see them achieve. So at Fauché Learning Center, we start off, I can't do this work by myself, so part of my secret sauce is the team. And so you've heard about the positions already sitting in our school climate and coach advocate position. We have Mr. Charles Upshaw. We have Ms. Raquel Williams, our restorative justice teacher advisor. Ms. Williams is also very closely connected with her sorority, so she brings that background knowledge to our school as well. And for those of you who might ask, she is a Delta. We have Mr. Daniel Azakar, our PSW, who also relates very well to our students. He's also used it as a platform to have discussions with the students because he does consider himself to be Indigenous and Afro-Latino. And then we have Mr. Hooks. Mr. Hooks is the fabulous Fauché counselor who's been here for years, who's part of the secret sauce that allows us to have 100% graduation. And so he's put that extra effort focusing on how do we really support not just all Black children, but he's really focused in on what do we do with those children in the middle grades so that they can get to high school, college, and beyond. I want to acknowledge, because we are data driven, we have started some of this work prior to BSAP. And so I want to give accolades to my team, and part of my team that's not a part of BSAP would be a position that we had for our standard English learners. And that member would be Mrs. Willard Clifton Posey. Okay, so part of the work that we were already doing at Fauché was grounded in some of the work. Those of you who are familiar with Dr. Ted Alexander and the 10 Schools program, looking at how we look at asset thinking, how we validate, how we affirm, how we nurture with a balance of love and accountability for our students. Some things that we've put in place this year include the program I just ran down from our Young Black Mathematicians group. Young Black Mathematicians is a pipeline to not only build community, but to accelerate achievement, because we're focusing on how we get the middle school African American students to accelerate in mathematics so that when they get to high school, they can have that advanced mathematics. As we know, mathematics sometimes is a gatekeeper to whether or not you're going to enter into college because of those SAT and ACT scores. We also focus heavily on the use of literature. It's already said here today, because we want our children to see themselves in the literature. We want them to think globally. We want them to think about how they can contribute to their community. All of those are wrapped in the instructional program. In the room environment, we communicate that we care, love our children also. A few groups that we have on campus that work very hard. Formerly, we had the Parent and Student Affinity Group and the Black Student Leadership Academy. This year, we have Black Student Voices, which is a group of students who may not make it to Young Black Mathematicians, but absolutely we want to give them a voice, give them a platform, build community with them as well. We have a parents group. We're very proud of our parents group. We've had the opportunity to bring in guest speakers and lecturers to support our parents, including using our partnership with USC and bringing in doctors or bringing in guest panelists to speak to our parents about issues that matter to them, as well as an additional opportunity to have intimate conversations with our parents. We did have a lot of intimate conversations around the vaccine, especially when we were looking at the January due date for vaccinations, and it was, some conversations that we needed to have specifically with our Black parents. Sometimes our Black parents may not connect in other meetings, so we always give them a highlight or a rundown of things that they might need to know in the school, such as transition from middle school to high school or how to transition to college. We've conducted book studies as a school team. One of the book studies that we did was Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain by Zaretta Hammond. So a lot of our teachers are really grounded in that work. We've also had an opportunity to expand on being an international baccalaureate school, in that we've had an opportunity to leverage the use of world languages. Our students have access to world languages in 6th grade and in the elementary school as well. In elementary school, we have a traveling secondary teacher who goes in, and she travels amongst all the elementary classes, so they have exposure to culture and language. And then in the middle school, we start off with the lower level classes, but of course by 8th grade, students have access to either Spanish 1 or Mandarin 1. We also have an array of culturally relevant courses, including Mexican American Studies, African American Literature, ethnic studies, and a lot of that is driven once again by the needs of the students and the interests of the students. So when we develop our master schedule, we are starting to build those things in. We have another group. Sometimes we see a need here on campus. So for example, Ms. Williams saw a need, our 6th grade girls, especially transitioning into middle school, coming from being at home during COVID. There was a need that we needed to have a middle school girls group, so she's leading that girls group. We're also dealing with conflict management and teaching students how to resolve their conflicts. So that's the role and part of the RJ teacher. We have a Black Student Union. Black Student Union this month has been extremely active on campus. Last week, we had a week-long celebration in honor of Black children, Black boys, activism. And believe it or not, we even had an incident on Friday where the kids said, hey, we need to be heard on campus. We're still hearing slurs on campus. We don't want the slurs on campus. So they took that as an opportunity to lift their voice and let it be known that that was something that they were against, and they're looking at how that they can curb the use of slurs, if not totally eliminate it from our school campus. I don't want to just keep on going on and on and on. I'm very proud of my team. Like I said, I don't do any of the work by myself. I have a whole group of teachers and advocates that are supporting children here. And we're doing a lot of the same things at other schools, but I think the biggest piece at our school is that the individuals on the team, they're all on the vision, they all see the need, and they're all moving our Black children forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray, for the wonderful activities and uplifting our Black students and on all scholars at your school. And it is a huge task. You have elementary, middle, and high school. So thank you for that, Ms. Murray. Thank you, Mr. Ramos, and thank you, Mr. Porter, for everything that you do on a daily basis for all students and also for our Black students at your school site. So in the next slide, you will see who is behind this at the district level. You have Ms. Norma Spencer, Administrator of Black Student Achievement, and Dr. Erica Thomas, a lead director, and Brandy, Director of School and Culture and Climate and Safety. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And I'm going to hand it over to see if there's any questions. And I am so proud of our schools. I am so happy to be part of this amazing initiative and amazing work. And I know that we are going to make sure that our students are moving in the right direction. Are there any questions in the chat, Mr. Valderas, before I turn it over to you?
This time, I do not see any questions, and that's because it was a very thorough presentation. And of course, we were quite intrigued by our school leaders and the efforts and the work that they're doing to support and uplift our Black children. So.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Valderas, I will be turning it over to you for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
So at this time, we do want to advertise. We have several upcoming events. And again, in the spirit of Black History Month, I highly, highly encourage all our stakeholders to please attend our upcoming Black Students Matter with Dr. George McKenna, which will be on Valentine's Day. So please spend Valentine's Days with us with Dr. George McKenna. I think he is my hero. He was my mentor when I used to be a high school principal. But the fact is that if you haven't listened to George McKenna, please do so. I trust me, and I promise you, you will come away with words of wisdom and what the work that we're doing to support not only our Black students, but all students. So please take advantage of that. And of course, we have other activities going on during Black History Month. So we will follow that up by HBCU. We are trying to get our children to enroll and attend and apply to the historically Black colleges. Why? Because West Coast kids deserve to go to HBCU. And of course, on the 19th, we will be holding a Black College Expo for all our high schools in local District Central. And finally, at this time, I want to pass it on to Vilma. She has a couple of informational pieces to discuss regarding parent involvement. Vilma.
Thank you, Mr. Valderas. I'm here at Obama still, so I'm so glad to hear the great work that our fearless leaders are engaging in, and I'm so happy for the work that we're doing at Manual Arts Vermont Square Communities of Schools. But I want to invite you, parents and families, to our next LCAP presentation. This is happening February 16. From 9 to 10:30, please come and join us. We're going to discuss the work around the LCAP, the Local Control and Accountability plan. We need your input. We need your feedback. We need your support, and all of this obviously to support all of our students so that they can continue to make the progress that we know that they can make, and that this is one of the ways that we are supporting them by getting your input. You tell us how you feel, what you know your children need. So we will highly appreciate if you join us next week for our LCAP study group session. I believe it is a culminating session for this year's LCAP study group. So again, I welcome you to join us and participate. I believe that might be the only, but parents, please make sure to be aware that we are sending you messages. We're texting you. I know we're texting you a lot with all the different opportunities for engagement that we have at Local District Central, at the Manuel S. Ramon Square Communities of Schools, at our big district, Central District. We want to keep you abreast of all the opportunities you have to join, participate, engage, and together, right, we can do the work of supporting and making every children have a success in our district. So please, once again, we invite you and join us. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Vilma. I appreciate that. And finally, please stay connected. I know there's a question on how I can retrieve the links to the upcoming activities and presentations for our Black student achievement. So please log on to our website, or please follow us on social media, either on Twitter or on Instagram, and you'll be able to find our flyers there, along with opportunities for you to be able to log on to all upcoming presentations, along the one with HBCU and so forth. And with that, we want to go ahead. Yes, can you believe it's almost March next year? So we are now advertising our March 8th town hall meeting for you. And so therefore, please sign up, put that on your calendar. And by all means, I hope and wish to see everybody on March 8th. And with that, I want to thank our panelists. I want to thank the MAVS team. I specifically want to give a shout out to Ana Guzman for all the work that she's doing to support our BSAP schools. But more importantly, thank you to the participants that are here today to learn more about BSAP, to make sure that we are accountable for the success of our Black children in the MAVS community. With that said, please be safe and have a great evening, and thank you very much.